All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started with today's media availabilities. We've now been joined by Corey Heim, who is running double duty this weekend. Corey, how excited are you to run both races this weekend?
Yeah, I'm definitely really excited. Kansas is actually my favorite track, so being back here in general is awesome. But to run double duty, have a chance at 3 straight wins in the Truck Series tonight is a special opportunity. And then for Sunday, super excited to run with 2311 Racing and our Robin Hood scheme. Such a cool opportunity to have a company like Robin Hood on our car. A lot of Robin Hood users are young and early in their investing career like myself, so really cool full circle moment for 2311 and myself. Definitely can't wait.
Well, we're excited to watch you. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We're going to start with Reed and then go to Jeff and then up to the front.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. Did you get to pick this one given your success in the Truck Series here?
Yeah, I don't think I had like a direct pick for my races this year, but I was able to sit down with some people at 2311 Racing and kind of discuss on what made sense. And with this being my opening Cup race of the 2025 campaign for myself, being able to run it in 2024 was a big reason why I'm able to kind of knock the rust off a little bit. The last time I've raced a Cup car was pretty close to a year ago. It was in, I think, June of last year. So it was probably important for me to kind of not look like a fish out of water the first time back and be able to lean on some prior experience to come back to Kansas. So had a little bit to say myself, but I think it just made a lot of sense for both sides.
And we'll go to Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from The Athletic. Corey, what do you need to get for yourself out of these races to feel that you're checking the boxes or getting more prepared for your Cup career whenever that time comes? You know, is it a matter of just seat time, or there's certain things you're trying to do in the race that you want to accomplish for yourself? How are you approaching that?
It's a good question. I don't think personally I set rock solid standards or goals for myself going into these races. I think a lot of it is just preparing to the best of my ability and executing to the best of my ability, really. Looking back at the Kansas race when I filled in for Eric Jones last year, there are a lot of things that stood out to me to improve on. And I think that's kind of the first step, is just being able to understand I'm going the right direction and progressing the right way. So those specific things are things I want to get better at. But yeah, I think, with the resources that 2311 Racing has been able to give to me over the past couple of months to prepare for this race, I feel like I've got a great opportunity to come in and perform very well. So I think at this point it's just about kind of executing the things that I've learned and developed on this year with 2311. And, definitely super excited. Like I said, just have a lot of resources and opportunities being a part of this organization. So don't have rock solid goals personally, but I think just going out and executing on what I studied for is the main thing. I think I feel really comfortable when I come here, and I think a lot of that is just the prior experience I've got here. I mean, I've got probably 6 or more ARCA races here, 6 or more truck races here, and just that experience alone makes me feel comfortable and very prepared coming into this race. I feel like there's not so many things that I'm kind of having to soak in during the week and prepare on. Like, for instance, Dover last year, my first Cup race ever, I'd been there once in an ARCA car, I think, before that race. So just the extra stress it took to prepare for that race and be ready for it, all those things I was learning about the racetrack added on to just being in a Cup car for the first time were really tough. So Kansas is a place I've got a lot of laps, and I think that helps with my comfort.
We'll come up to the front.
Brett Williams, SpeedwayDigest.com. Last night you had the opportunity to throw out the first pitch at the Royals game. And what was that experience like for you, and how important not only for your team, you, and NASCAR, but to have those cross engagements?
Yeah, it was a cool experience. I learned about it for the first time, I think, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and didn't even hesitate that I wanted to be there and be a part of it. Honestly, I'm not super educated on the MLB or anything like that, but I learned a lot last night just being a part of it, and throwing the first pitch it made me pretty nervous, to be honest with you. I was probably more nervous for that than I will be for tonight or Sunday, but I feel like it went pretty well. I think, like you said, I think the crossover between those two organizations is pretty important just to kind of broaden everyone's horizons. And I actually saw some NASCAR fans at the game last night that'll hopefully be here this weekend. And it seems like Kansas City's got a lot of good supportive fans on all accounts, but within the Chiefs, the Royals, even NASCAR. So I feel like, bringing those fans to NASCAR races and vice versa is very important.
I also noticed that you threw it from the mound.
Yeah, I did. I was just talking about that earlier. Someone was telling me that Kurt Busch told them that you have to go from the mound. So I was planning on choking it up a little bit, but I decided I had to go from up there. No, I was close. I think it was a ball. I was telling the people that were with me at the game last night, I feel like if it was a lefty batter, I probably would have taken their ankles out, but I got pretty close. So
We'll go to Steven next.
Steven from Frontrush.com. Corey, you talked about how useful having that start at Kansas was in the past and coming into this race. How useful can having more experience at Kansas translate over to the other intermediate tracks when you eventually run them?
it's definitely a good experience being here. I feel like a lot of people kind of overlook the fact of how different they all are. For example, the preparation for Texas last week is night and day from the preparation from Kansas. You factor in a lot of the overall race strategy, and just kind of track position matters a lot more at certain racetracks. I feel like here you can really pass a lot easier, for lack of a better word, than most intermediates. So I think the preparation and the strategy is a good bit different, but really, regardless of the track type or where we're running, I think any laps in a Cup car is huge, just for how different these things drive than a truck or an Xfinity car, what I'm used to. So yes, the intermediates certainly help going to other intermediates, but I think just laps in general are huge. I was fortunate to be a part of the wheel force testing with TRD this year, which was big for me as well. So that was kind of a good warm up. That was a couple weeks ago, so a good warm up for this weekend. But regardless of what track, I think laps are very big in this car.
And then you have this in Chicago currently lined up, but obviously that number you're doing for 2311 can go up, sponsorship permitting, throughout the season, right?
Yeah, that's the goal for sure. This track in Chicago for sure, and then in between will be Nashville.
We'll go to Lee.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and CatchFence.com. You mentioned Nashville. You have 2 top 5s there in your last 2 starts, and I think you led 72 laps 2 years ago. Is that track also kind of custom made for you to try your hand at Cup?
Yeah, I think once again, with Nashville being a race that I've run, last year I ran it with 2311, actually my only start to this date with that team. So being able to go back and actually dive into the exact team that I raced for, and then go back and try to improve on that's also a really cool opportunity to sit down with those guys that developed me at 2311 and hopefully improve on that going into that race. But once again, it just goes back to the experience. I think any place you have laps at and you can go back and study and then try to improve on that's really big, especially in this car. So I've got a lot of starts there within the truck races, and of course that Cup race last year, but it all helps at the end of the day for sure. For the most part, I work a lot with the analytics department and the sim department, I guess, if you will. They have a static simulator at the shop that I work on a couple hours a week, and then I sit in the weekly analytics meetings to try to learn a thing or two, and I feel like I always do, and it certainly pays off. Excuse me? So the analytics department is John Vining, and he's actually an engineer on my team this weekend. He, I believe he traveled with the I think it was with the 45 last year. He got off the road. Now he's just traveling with the 67 and is full-time in the analytics department. And then I work with Keegan Leahy, former Coke Pro driver. Then I works with 2311 full-time on the sim stuff. And then he's kind of the main guy I work with over there for sure.
We'll come to Reed for a follow-up, and then we'll go to Daniel.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire. In the Truck Series schedule this year, all 5 intermediates are front-loaded into the first 4 months. Would you like to see more, given your success on those kinds of tracks, particularly in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think I prided myself in the last couple of years on being really good on all kinds of racetracks. I don't know if the intermediates have been very kind to me in the Truck Series for sure, but early in my career, I feel like I was more one-dimensional on the short tracks, and then I kind of broadened my horizons and got a lot better at the intermediates, road courses, even some super speedway stuff. But I feel like for myself and where I'm at in my career, I think any opportunities, especially on those tracks that we don't see very often. For example, the super speedways and the truck series, we don't get a lot of those opportunities. So bettering myself on the tracks that I might be uncomfortable on right now, I think is a really big deal for me, even though it's, intimidating for me. I haven't been on them a lot, but I think it's definitely necessary for me to develop and be, really good at a full-time Cup Series campaign in the future. That's my main priority.
We'll go to Daniel.
Dale McFadden, FrenchRest.com. So Corey, earlier you talked about your progression level from point A to point B in your first 3 Cup races. I just want to know how would you describe that progression level from like the end of Dover to the end of the Nashville race? How did you see your progression in that period?
A lot of it was just becoming more comfortable with myself. The last thing you want to do as a rookie Cup Series driver is go out and do something stupid and make yourself look bad. So I think I did a decent job of that those first 3 Cup starts, and I feel like I progressively was able to be more comfortable and be more aggressive without feeling like I'm going to do something stupid, if that makes sense. So, my first couple restarts at Dover, I remember just trying to stay in line and just not look out of place. And then by the end of Nashville, I was trying to make it 3 wide on guys and barreled off in there, do everything I could to get track position. So I feel like when I was a rookie in the Truck Series, it took me a lot longer to find that comfort. But I think with the resources at 2311, and being able to work with those guys on bettering myself and being more comfortable being aggressive, that's really helped me a lot and gone a long way. So I think just the main thing is just being able to put yourself out there and be on the limit without feeling like you're gonna do something wrong or do something stupid.
So you're doing Kansas and Nashville again this year. If you could pick one track to race in the next gen car on, what would it be?
Yeah, I think Kansas would be probably a good one.
In any other track, like
Yeah.
you could pick another one.
No, I think that's it. I think Kansas is the one. Just kind of goes back to the laps I have here. I think it just it pays off so much going into the race and being able to prepare and execute on things that I've researched and studied for. But I think if I was equally as prepared on all tracks, I mean, I love the race at Daytona 500. I think that'd be cool too.
Can we come back up to Jeff, please?
Yeah, I'm sure it catches your attention. You hear the people talking about how you're Cup ready and you're the next guy, and it's just a matter of time. Like, what do you make of that when you hear people talk like that?
Yeah, I don't really let that get to me too much. I think for the most part, I'm just really focused on the current opportunities that I have at hand. I definitely feel like I'm ready to make Cup starts. I don't know if I'm ready to be a full-time Cup driver. I think that's kind of what I'm learning as I go. But I certainly feel like I am. It's just a matter of going out and proving that at this point. So I'm really happy with the opportunities that Toyota and 2311 have given me these past couple of years. Very happy with my 11 crew on the truck side and the 67 guys on the Cup side. I think I've got a lot of things going for me in the right direction, and I'm very happy with my opportunities. Well, I think a lot of it just comes back to how good our 11 team is on the truck side right now. When you're winning races and competing very consistently, I think it's fun and you're having a good time, and I feel like it's rewarding. So I feel like if I was maybe struggling more on the truck side, or maybe seeking other opportunities, I feel like it'd be different. But I'm really happy with my opportunities on the truck side. We're winning races, we're competitive every week, and it's a lot of fun for me and it's rewarding. So that's the main thing.
Any additional questions for Corey? We will finish over here.
Hi, Corey. Ryan Kemner with the Racing Experts. So there's been people talking about how trucks are similar to the Cup cars right now, and Xfinity is not as similar. How is that with your experience racing trucks as your full time, and then also getting starts in the Cup Series?
Yeah, I think that narrative is actually pretty true. For the most part, I actually feel a lot more comfortable getting into a Cup car so far as like first practice, settling in, getting comfortable compared to a Xfinity car. I feel like it takes me a lot longer to just get used to how little downforce they have and how high horsepower they have. Having to use the brake pedal a lot more, I think that's a big thing. For the most part, I feel like the trucks and the Cup cars align very close as far as throttle time and things like that, or just overall pace, I guess. But as far as the way you drive them, it's hard to explain kind of sitting up here, but I feel like it's a lot different from the truck to the Cup car. It's just the feel that you're looking for and the balance that you're looking for is a lot different. But the Xfinity car is just different on all sides. You know, you're using a lot more off throttle time, using a lot more brake, things like that. And it takes me a lot longer to settle in for the most part on those weekends. So, yeah, I would say that's a pretty true statement for sure. And it's definitely there's benefits to running all three series. But I think as far as developing for the Cup Series, I think right now the trucks are more similar.
Yeah, and so part of the last, I guess, 10 years, the traditional way of a prospect like yourself going to the Cup Series has been doing your in trucks, doing your Xfinity, doing your in Cup. How do you feel your path currently is, especially doing trucks full times for multiple seasons and now getting some Cup starts?
I think my path's been good so far. The trucks have done a really good job of developing me for the Cup Series, kind of like I talked about earlier. The overall pace and the off throttle time is very similar, so that's been really good for me to warm up to the Cup cars. Of course, like I said, it's a different feel and a different balance you're looking for between the two. But for the most part, I feel like my career has gone well in the sense that I've gotten a lot of opportunities on all accounts, even in Xfinity as well. And yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, you see guys that have kind of done a year of each or 2 years of each. But, you know, when I raced those 3 Cup races last year, I felt really good in all of them by the end of the race. And I think at the end of the day, as long as you're prepared and you feel comfortable, I think that's the main priority, and I have so far.
Piggybacking off that, one last thing. You said about your Cup starts last year, and it's fair to say that with anyone making their first starts, you finished well and you finished the races, barring the crazy race at Nashville. What would be your goal now this year running Cup? Still doing that?
Yeah, kind of like I touched on earlier, I don't know if I have any set goals going into these races as far as like where I want to finish or where I want to run. I think it's just a matter of being able to execute the things that I've prepared on. But yeah, I think the main goal is certainly to be finish the races. I mean, when I raced for 2311 at Nashville last year, I felt like we were in a really good spot to run probably top 15 realistically with a shot at top 10 with how crazy that race ended. But, you know, not that it was my fault or their fault or anything, but we got taken out at the end and didn't finish the race. So, you know, that would be the priority and the goal this year. I mean, of course, a lot of it's out of my control at the end of the day, like Nashville was. But, you know, I think ideally I'd want to finish these races and kind of prove that I belong where I have been running, just like in Nashville. I was running in the top 15, probably deserved to finish there, but didn't. That would be kind of my goal to finish there.
Thank you very much.
All right, Corey. Well, thank you for spending some time with us, and good luck this weekend.
All right, thank you.